out of the balls of the world's best commuter car company came a truck that no one asked for, but everybody needed. The Ridgeline is a unique story in the automotive world because it's the only ute to succeed in these states united. Australia and New Zealand, we're trying over here, man. Americans are trying to adapt to utes, but the Subaru Baja failed. The Chevy Avalanche failed. The Ford Explorer Sport Track failed so hard it no-clipped into the back rooms. But the Honda Ridgeline, it did well in the US. Well enough that Honda went back to the well and kept the Ridgeline around for a second act. This odd sort of truck is still in production today. But I think there's another data point that led to the Ridgeline's success. The name Honda. No fragile male who's on gear but only does chest press and lat pull downs is threatened by a Honda. Honda never tried to compete with Chevy trucks, Ford, Toyota, or to an extent Nissan. Honda never made a body-on-frame truck, so there was never any institutional memory in consumers' brains against which to compare the Ridgeline. And when consumers found out that the Ridgeline is just a Honda Pilot with a bed, they were like, oh, okay, I like the Pilot, and the Ridgeline is probably fine. And Honda said so much in their marketing, like, look, this isn't really a truck. This is just something for you if you like the Pilot, but you're going to have to carry dirty stuff and you want to hose out a sort of bed. It's like the engineering and marketing department heard Be Humble through a BioShock Infinite portal back in 2004 for the 2005 model year and realized, okay, all right, automotive press, we don't claim to be reinventing the pickup truck here. This is just a different take on an old favorite. The result of which was steady sales from first-time truck buyers. You know, from people who didn't think they needed a truck. The kind of people who would say things like, well, I don't know when I would need a truck, and my neighbor Steve has an F-150, and he lets me borrow it whenever, so why do I need a big heavy gas-guzzling truck? Honda was able to grab that segment of the market, and they kept it. Because when you climb inside a Ridgeline, there's nothing unfamiliar in here. Simple column shift, logical big fat controls, standard double DIN unit, and it drives like a Honda. Linear, smooth power from the time-tested J-Series V6. It pushes you ahead with familiar assurance. You get inside this vehicle and it's like it's saying, I'm a Honda. And you made the right decision. And the engine. I love the J-Series. I think it's my favorite V6. Yeah, I like it even better than the 3.8 in the Grand National. Honda's J-Series is so versatile. You can tune it, you can lug it. It sounds okay. It sounds decent for a V6. All right, you have a tune. Let's see what she does. What's she do? All right, she makes noise, makes a good noise. Goes right up to red line. Oh, I just heard VTEC kick in, bro. Okay. It is, man, if this was a manual, I'd be creaming my pants right now, just keeping it in there. I guess that's what that button's for. All right, okay, all right. This is my pass people button. Sounds way better than a VQ. Ugh, VQs. Those things sound like 6-angle grinders cutting rebar when you put aftermarket exhaust on them. But the J-Series? The J-Series sounds like a serval cat who is happy to see you, purring deeply, rubbing on you, giving me that tactile sensation of genuine affection that's non-transactional. My touch-starved skin drinks in a methadonic substitution for human connection, while my mind replays past hugs with acquaintances. Friends I'm seeing or friends I never met. I stretch the hugs past the normal 3-second bro hug with the double pat at the end. I roll my hips forward and I press my entire body into my friend whose character I had fantasies about. And they don't know it, but I can live out those alternate realities in my mind where they feel for me what I feel for them. And I'll replay those hugs over and over as I sleep, as I fall asleep. And I feel self-conscious to tell them that because that would make them feel uncomfortable. And I want to tell them how much their hug is holding me over for the next 3 months until I can get another hug from someone again. Honda Ridgeline, the truck you buy when you don't want to be the guy with the truck. Look, truck guys are going to tell you this isn't a real truck. It's not a body on frame. Its towing capacity tops out at 5,000 pounds. Its payload can only handle 1,546 pounds. And it basically runs on a reinforced version of a first-gen Acura MDX platform. Yeah, MDX Honda Pilot, they share some whatever. But not being a quote-unquote real truck is where the value in the Ridgeline comes from. It isn't the impotent machismo of a Ford Heavy Duty, or Super Duty, and it isn't the suburban surrender of a CRV. It's practical and does most of the same things a more beard-scratching, tobacco-chewing, birthday-forgetting, Arthur Morgan worshipping, deep-frying, ratchet-strapping, alimony-dodging, meat-rod-compensating truck can do. The Ridgeline will tow things. It will haul more than you're ever likely to use it for, and it'll leave you with the feeling of power that you can only get from driving something of a certain size. It doesn't encourage you to make it your entire personality, and I think that's the point. You don't revolve your life around this truck. It is not something you put bumper stickers on, even though this guy got, God bless and grass clippings and barb, and I like these bumper stickers. Honda Ridgeline, the official truck of, yes, I have a truck, but I also have a life. Back to the engine. The 3.5-liter V6 J35 makes 250 horsepower and around 247 pound-feet of torque from stock. But Jason tuned this. It's making now 311 horsepower and 296 pound-feet of torque. Now, this was done, as you look in the engine, like, nice. Digital camo. You dipped your engine cover there. Cool. And the box said 10 horsepower intake there. So there's no turbo, even though this sticker has a picture of a turbo on it. No, it was naturally aspirated. So the way you make more power is okay. This is simply more fuel and more spark. He's getting around 15 miles per gallon, which is about what my third-gen 4Runner gets. As Jason told us, he likes Hondas, but gets bored with cars every few years and has to replace them. This is the way. He had a Cross Tour, he had a 4th-gen Acura TL, he had an Element, respect, and then he decided to switch it up again. Jason wanted something in the $10,000 range and landed on the Honda Ridgeline, choosing to look for an older generation due to the horror stories about the transmissions on the newer models. He found this at under 10,000 miles, and while he ended up paying more than he initially intended to, $12,000, it was probably worth it for the condition the truck's in. As for modifications, this is noticeably different from stock. It's got a lift, it's got more horsepower, and it doesn't have the same steering issues you sometimes read about these things having. Under the hood, he added a J-pipe header and engine management running on a K-tuner. Stock, the Ridgelines had 8.5 inches of ground clearance. Jason added a 3-inch lift and a 2-inch subframe drop. Also, the third catalytic converter is cut off, and a stainless steel catback exhaust has been installed. Additionally, this has Honda Pilot front rotors and calipers to fix brake issues, and stainless steel wheels because why not? I mean, I like them, they look good. It's got pull-me-over limo tent, which I'm not a fan of. But your car, your canvas. After all, the idea wasn't to capture an enthusiast truck audience. The problem with the Chevy Avalanche was that they tried to say it was a truck. No. You can fold this thing down, and when you do this and you put these seats down, see, it's a real truck. You can get big stuff in here. Honda didn't. Then no one believed them. It's like, what is this blow molded plastic piece of nonsense? Honda Ridgeline said, we know this isn't a truck. This is something else. The first-gen Ridgeline was also known as the YK1, and that lasted from model years 2006 to 2014. It was designed by Honda R&D Americas as the automaker dipped its toe in the waters of American exceptionalism, as if to say, hey, we can herd cattle and ignore traffic court summons too. So they designed a truck whose appearance brings to mind a guy who's well-liked around the office but made your life a living hell growing up. Non-threateningly appearing and off-putting at the same time, at least to truck guys. But it seems like the goal was not to appeal to the working man or the extreme outdoorsman. One of the problems that I always talked about with the Ridgeline is the way the edges of the bed are shaped. See, they're not parallel to the ground. They're on an angle, which means you can't put material and lay it across the bed just to orient it or to take anything you put lean across the bed here is it's going to slide down. So they were going for that phantom demographic in between. It wasn't a truck for truck people, but it wasn't a truck for car people either. This was a truck for people who, one, aren't really going to be hauling building materials, and two, people who don't want a Jeep Gladiator a decade before the Jeep Gladiator was created. Again, BioShock Infinite portals. Honda's press kit for the first generation launch said that their market research showed how severe off-road use is typically for heavily modified short wheelbase, quote, purpose-built vehicles. And so Honda prioritized a fully automatic four-wheel drive setup over a typical truck layout 4x4, with the second stick. Also, they didn't go for big ground clearance or off-road optimized chassis. Going over the press kit, the justification was that the research showed that not a whole lot of Honda customers would use off-road capability in the Ridgeline, and they were more likely to use an ATV or, an enduro or a dirt bike if they were going to do that. So they settled on a truck with medium-duty off-road capability in the name of balance, so that you could get a practical truck that wasn't outfitted with a bunch of stuff you were never going to use anyway. In that sense, this sort of is a purpose-built vehicle because its focus is narrow and specific rather than generalized. It can't do everything, but that's enough. The Ridgeline is basically a challenge into introspection. Look deep down and tell me you actually need more truck than this. You don't. You know you don't. Honda Ridgeline. The sooner you can be honest with yourself, the sooner you can stop making your wife miserable. The Ridgeline is built on what Honda calls a segment-first closed-box unibody frame that combines the strength of a ladder frame with the many advantages of a unibody design. They mean unibody. It's just a unibody. A strong unibody, but a unibody. Honda also bragged about having one of the strongest tailgates in the industry, and yeah, the tailgate on a Ridgeline is really heavy, in contrast to, I guess, feather light doors, whatever. On release, you get a 5-foot SRC composite bed with integrated heavy-duty tied-down cleats, and a design that Honda claimed offered minimal wheel well intrusion. I can see how this would be useful, and in that sense, it's as much of a real truck as anything I've driven, even if it doesn't have the bells and whistles and gigantic center console of a modern pickup truck. When you drive it, you realize this has fewer notable features than a sober living facility. This is a sensory deprivation tank on steel rims. It isn't much to stimulate the senses from their design standpoint, and honestly, it makes a fine commuter. You get in, I keep coming back to this. You get in and it's like, yep, I'm driving a Honda. It's so coldly efficient. You think the Germans made this. But none of that matters because it's exactly what you want in a truck. It's as straightforward as Hank Hill's handshake. And yet, relative to what it is, the Honda Ridgeline is pricey, with some trims climbing to near $40,000 in their day. And While I wouldn't say it's more overpriced than a white-owned tobacco joint, that's still a lot of money for a truck that occasionally feels like it was designed for the kind of person whose bucket list vacation is some tropical place where the tourists get shanked the minute they leave the resort. I forget that this is a truck when I'm driving this. I just think it's some other SUV. I feel like going on a road trip with this. Honestly, be pretty good road trip car. You have all your stuff. You have room for 3 friends in there. No one's hurting for space. It's quite roomy inside. You put a cover on this bed, you're golden. Maybe if that Honda and Nissan merger ever goes down, Honda can integrate some of the Ridgeline's truck architecture and start making body on frame, like with the Nissan Titan. Maybe use that, but I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, Honda would then have something that could compete with the rest of the trucks of the world, but the fact that the Ridgeline is still in production today, they're making new versions of this right now. Maybe why mess with it? The Ridgeline's strength is how unpretentious it is. Some trucks are for good old boys who just love trucks and their political opinions. They carpet bomb you with their alternative facts at the worst diner in town because it's the only diner in town. Their trucks are neon signs for regressive thought and misaligned priorities. Their trucks are just basically Greek life to a certain subset of people who miss getting to bully freshman pledges. Their trucks are beaters for line cooks who refuse to go to the Cheesecake Factory but are more than happy to take you to the Cream Pie Conservatory. Some trucks are there to make a person feel good about the person they don't have the desire or motivation to stop being. And some trucks are just utility vehicles. The Ridgeline may be closer to an appliance than most trucks, but what it does well, even if it doesn't do more. The Ridgeline is a truck whose character comes from its basic utility and the confidence it takes to do only what you can and none of what you feel you have to. Good evening. What do you have? Gin martini? I like how you think. Thanks for reaching the end of the video, and thanks for hanging out. RCR has a Patreon now. It's only $1, way cheaper than this bottle. But what you get for it is so much more than just an idle buzz and maybe the feeling of inflated confidence in a bar and dribble style. What you get is the ability to make RCR go to places and achieve things that channels twice our size, 3 times our size can't do. Plus, you get way more content than what's here on the traditional channel. You know all the stuff we can't get away with on YouTube now? Well, we can get away with it on Patreon, that's for sure. So go to regular car reviews on Patreon. We're the cheapest one out there. $1. How about alternate reviews? How about videos that are completely uncensored? And coming this year, thanks to you, we're gonna go on some fun road trips. Nice long form stuff. And if you're watching this in June, don't worry, the podcasts are coming back. So cheers to you guys. Head over on to Patreon and join. It's only $1. I'll see you there and join in on all the fun. Have a drink, guys. Happy Monday.